Commander Elias Renner had survived the kind of disasters that ended entire missions. His ship, the Horizon's Cry, had been mapping the uncharted regions beyond the Orion Rift when a spatial rift tore open mid-flight. The sensors screamed, the hull folded in on itself, and the universe went silent. When he awoke, he wasn't in the void. He was lying on a bed of silver moss beneath two suns. His suit was cracked, the air breathable, but wrong, sweet and heavy, filled with luminescent pollen. A violet sky stretched endlessly above him. Around him stood figures cloaked in flowing white garments, their eyes gleaming like molten gold. Women, dozens of them. They whispered among themselves, words unfamiliar yet melodic. One knelt beside him, brushing her fingers along his cheek, as if affirming his existence. Then she said something that sent chills down his spine, her voice trembling with reverence. The prophecy was true. A man has fallen from the heavens. Middle, the kingdom without men. Elias was taken to a vast city carved into crystal cliffs, Aelthara, a civilization of impossible beauty and frightening perfection. Towers shimmered with flowing energy instead of metal. The people, all women, moved with grace and purpose, their language woven with song. He soon learned, through an ancient translation implant still functioning in his suit, that the planet was called Seraphis, a world where men had vanished thousands of years ago after a cataclysmic genetic war. The survivors, all female, built a new society ruled by intellect and balance. Without men, they had achieved peace, but at the cost of reproduction. Elias was not merely an alien to them. He was a miracle, a myth reborn. They called him the Starborn. The ruler of Seraphis, High Matron Vera, was unlike any leader Elias had ever met. Tall, ethereal, and wise beyond measure, she addressed him as both guest and divine anomaly. "You are what our ancestors spoke of," she said. "A fragment of the old world, come to test our hearts. Some will worship you, others will wish to end you." And indeed, not all welcomed him. Factions within the Aeltharan Council debated his presence. Some saw him as salvation, others as the curse that once destroyed their ancestors. Elias, meanwhile, was struggling to comprehend his role in a world that treated him like a relic or a prize. Everywhere he went, eyes followed. Women touched the fabric of his uniform like it was sacred cloth. Artists painted him. Scholars analyzed him, and geneticists whispered about recreating the male genome through his DNA. But one among them stood out, Saren, a scientist who refused to worship him. She was curious, fierce, and brutally honest. "They don't see you, Elias," she said. "They see what they've lost, or what they want control again." Over time, their connection deepened. She taught him their history, how war between genders had ended civilization, how women rebuilt everything from ash. And he taught her about humanity, laughter, curiosity, and hope. Then everything changed the night he touched the heart of Seraphis, a massive crystalline structure that powered the city. When his hand brushed it, the entire system pulsed with light, the energy pattern responding only to his human DNA. The matrons declared it a divine sign. Seraphis, they said, recognized him. The tone, the choice of the Starborn. The matron council announced a new decree. Elias would become the consort of Seraphis, bonded to the High Matron herself. His purpose would be to restore balance by reviving the male line. He was to live in luxury, worshipped, protected, and used. Elias refused. "I'm not a symbol," he said to Vera. "I'm a man. You can't own me, or my blood." But his protest was drowned in ceremony. The night of his ascension, he was led into the grand temple, surrounded by thousands chanting his name. Saren tried to intervene, urging him to flee with her to the outer colonies, places even the matrons didn't fully control. Before he could decide, the temple doors shattered with blinding light. The heart of Seraphis, the same crystal that had awakened to him, began to crack. Energy surged through the city, and Elias realized the truth. The planet was alive. It wasn't worshipping him. It was calling him. Through the bond of his DNA, Seraphis' core sought communion with its ancient counterpart, Earth. Elias was a bridge between two dying worlds. He seized Saren's hand and ran. Together they fled through corridors of glowing stone, pursued by the matron's guards. As the heart's energy rose, he heard a voice, not human, not alien, but something vast and old. Return us to the stars, Starborn. Balance must be restored. Ending, the man who became the bridge. They reached the edge of Aelthara's cliffs, overlooking the luminous valley. Behind them, the city cracked open under surging power. The skies split, revealing a rift, the same anomaly that had brought him here. Elias knew what had to be done. His ship's emergency core still rested within the temple. It could link to the heart, reopening the rift. But activating it meant merging his consciousness with the energy itself, becoming one with Seraphis. Saren grasped his face, tears shimmering in her silver eyes. "You don't have to save us," she whispered. "I'm not saving you," he said softly. "I'm finishing what I started when I fell." He kissed her, the first kiss Seraphis had seen in millennia, and stepped into the heart's glow. Light consumed him. The rift stabilized, linking Seraphis to the human network once more. The energy storm ceased. Days later, the matrons found Saren standing alone where the heart had been. In her palm glowed a single fragment of crystal, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. She smiled. "It's still out there," she said, "in every sunrise that touches both our worlds." And across the galaxy, on the scanners of distant outposts, a new signal appeared, a whisper encoded in energy. "I fell from the stars, and now I am part of them."